I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Joey.
And this is Dead South Paranormal.
Yes. Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Tonight we're going to actually talk about our first investigation and kind of give the reveal and the evidence we found.
Correct.
So, just to kind of give you a little bit of heads up of what's happening, the place we investigated first is the old Lewis Butler School in Ehrhardt, South Carolina. It is one of those places that was built as a response to desegregation by maybe some people with some ill intent back in the day. And the fact is that the school and the principal that it's named after, Mr. Lewis Butler, was he was the principal there for like 47 years. And in 2004, I believe it was, early 2000s, the Banbury County School District shut the school down. They consolidated. The town of Ehrhardt bought it, and it became their kind of municipal complex where the town clerk stays, as well as the police department, court, and all of that stuff's there. The interesting part about that is that a lot of the original stuff from the school is still there. Like the library's still fully intact.
Oh, yeah.
And also the like the cafeteria, there's really nothing in there, but you can you get the feel for things. But there are a lot of stuff in the classrooms that are still in there from the original school. And that was something I found really, really interesting.
I did too. It was like almost like stepping back into somebody else's photo album. I remember when not too long after our investigation started, I walked into one of the classrooms there, and I just happened to come across one of those old like a closet where a teacher would keep all of her supplies or something. And I walked in there, and there was just this pair of folded reading glasses that were just sitting up there. And I said, wow, that's just odd, but it is literally memories frozen in time almost. So
yeah, it was definitely almost surreal. It'd been a long time. I didn't ever go to that school. But I'd been in and out that school a little bit during fire prevention months and stuff like that. And I remember that school being open and remember the people working there, obviously. And up until recently, really hadn't been in there as a municipal other than to go vote or something like that.
Right.
But it's one of those things where I went in not expecting a whole lot, to be honest with you. And I was surprised.
I was too.
Some of the audio we were, and I should have saved it, but I didn't. And actually, it's saved. I just didn't put it on there. I said while we were in the hallway, I was ill prepared for this. We were able to capture several things there, confirming a lot of the things that the staff that works there, police officers included,
right,
and the town clerk, some of the things that they'd been experiencing, we were able to
validate.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was interesting. So we'll kind of, again, still working with some new technology here, so forgive us about some stuff with that. But to kind of give you a layout of this school, I'm trying to find a video here that I have to show everybody real quick. And if you've been on our any of our social media, you've seen the front of the school already. So
speaking of social media, Facebook and Instagram, Dead South Paranormal. YouTube, Dead South Paranormal SC.
Yes.
And if you have any kind of story you'd like to share with us or a possible location for us to investigate, then shoot that email to deadsouthpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. So, Joey, you ready to show that video?
not a gigantic building compared to most schools nowadays, but it is a large building, and there's still more to investigate there. But we focused a lot of our efforts on some of you spent a lot of time in the classroom end.
I did.
I went more to the, I guess, more commons areas, some of the administrative rooms, cafeteria, that really weird room with all the stuff in it, like clothes.
Oh yeah, like the thrift store almost.
Yeah, it was like this 1980s throwback thrift stuff. It was.
I think I asked you about that while we were there, and I said, is this kind of like almost like a hand-me-down type place? And I don't know if it was donations that people had brought there at one time, and others could come and get as they needed, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
But it was really weird. Like, that was the place that I was thinking, my goodness, this has got to be the most haunted place in the building, because there's just so much stuff from so many different places. And in fact, we got some readings, EMF readings, but we never got any responses or anything really super.
I don't think we caught any EVPs there.
Yeah.
But I think and this is one of the things I brought up on the last episode, but I think between my app, your devices, that for a short time there was a bit of a small conversation that started to develop, and just as quickly as it came, it left.
Yeah. It was a strange place. It had that, and the only way you can describe it is that eerie feeling, that heaviness, and that heaviness came and then it went. So it was one of those places that I thought, wow, this is really, really odd, and like probably, if I have to say spooky, one of the spookiest places in the building. However, the activity there was extremely limited as far as evidentiary activity, where we could actually catch it. So, but going back now, we're going to almost start with you in the library.
Okay. I'll do my best to try and I'll hear it. Once I hear it, I'll kind of break it down as best as I can.
So this is, we'll start in the library. This is about 50-second clip of Jeremy in the library.
Jody, is that your name, Jody? Jody, once again, my name's Jeremy. Jody, would you like to talk?
I heard something.
Yeah, I did too. Well, I'm gonna tell you what okay, so if you notice, all right, number one, I apologize for this, but you'll hear it at the beginning of the video on our YouTube channel that I have a very noisy auto-focusing lens on my camera. Okay. It's very loud. Now, eventually, I changed that out. But for whatever reason, it's very loud. It's very noisy.
Is this the camera you dropped and broke and had to replace?
No, it's not. I dropped the good one.
Oh, no.
But, so, aside from that, I can actually hear the camera lens being manipulated through all of this. It's that loud, clunky back and forth is what you hear. But listen past all that. You have to listen past all that. Now, first thing I'll bring up is the name that I got on the EVP was Jody. And later on in the night, Joey actually got that same name.
Correct.
Because Jody had come up and told me I think it was shortly after the clip you're hearing now, that she was buried down the road. And Joey got the same thing, which in the old thrift store, which was where we caught all this, it kind of validated that as well. So kind of weird stuff right there, right off the bat. But it sounds like someone out in the hall. I will say this. I believe this is the room, if I remember correctly, this is the room with the fans in it. That this room actually has power in it.
Yes.
I can hear the fans in this clip because it's kind of like a small whir, and then it comes in and out, in and out. But if you listen to all that, it sounds like echoes in the background, but it sounds like talking and maybe a little bit of footsteps mixed in there as well. It's very hard to make out, but you can hear it.
So it was interesting, and I'm gonna go back right here.
Okay. Jody, is that your name, Jody? Jody, once again, my name's Jeremy. Jody, would you like to talk?
I definitely heard the car, right?
Yeah.
That may have been what I heard.
Okay.
So, yeah, so you can definitely, I definitely heard like the camera.
Yeah, it's
adjusting and
very
stuff like
clunky,
that.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the name Jody came up more than once. And the buried down the road thing came up more than once. And this is where he received that information, was basically the opposite end of the building.
Yeah.
So it wasn't at the same time. And as a matter of fact, we'd already kind of paired back up when that happened.
Right.
So kind of moving forward, I found a couple of clips. Now, one thing that I don't pay a lot of attention to sometimes is noises.
Okay.
Simply, but if I can hear them with my ear, usually that's probably the result of something explainable. It could be,
Okay.
let's be honest, a rat or something.
While we're on this subject and while you bring it up, a lot of the times in these rooms in the beginning, I would hear knocks and taps and things of that nature in the same room that I was in. But I noticed going back on the video, I would tell Amanda during that time, I would say, hey, did you hear that? And she would say, yeah. Did you hear that? And I was like, yeah. But here's the thing. I did not capture it on camera.
Huh.
Which I thought was rather odd.
Yeah, that's almost the opposite a lot of times of what happens.
Yeah.
But this first clip here is I was in the cafeteria. So originally I started, and I had my daughter and son with me, so full disclosure with that. And my daughter was running a camera, and my son was managing some equipment. And we had originally went into the old auditorium area that had been converted to like office space down on the south end of the building. We received nothing. Like there was.
Is this the room with the big open ceiling?
Yes.
And it's kind of got I don't know, it's very little shelving, a big chalkboard?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was like more of a gymnasium at first to begin with.
Yeah. So that used to be the old auditorium gymnasium. That's what it used to be. And they they cut it up, and there's more spaces and things like that. And I said, this would be a good spot. It had that big open ceiling in it, which is kind of scary because you're thinking like something's up there. But it's probably a pigeon or a squirrel or something. But we didn't get a thing. Like we got nothing responding back, no obulus, no nothing. So I kind of skipped on and moved on. So the second place we went is the old cafeteria. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the cafeteria provided us a lot of good audio and things like that throughout our investigation.
Oh yeah.
So this is when we first go in there. and I set up. And so I'll give you kind of the setup. Sydney and Reed were behind me at the doorway, sitting down. I was in the center of the room in a chair, and I was just asking questions. And this is what I caught. What's your name? There's a thread. What type of thread? What type of thread is there? From an agent? What type of agent? I think it's very important to tell your story. So in that, we caught two distinctive clacks, knocks,
Right.
that were exactly the same.
Yeah, they sounded almost, yeah.
So usually when you hear stuff creaking and cracking, it doesn't sound like it's exactly doing the same thing.
Right.
And so I thought that was kind of the most interesting part of that is we were in there for a while, and this is the point where during the investigation we came out, we met back up, and I told you that I had an unhealthy, unwell feeling about that cafeteria, especially about that hallway.
Yeah, which by all means, I'll be honest up front, that did not sit well with me.
So this cafeteria, think of a big room. It had the kitchen off to the right side, and so you had this long
Main room. Yeah.
Kitchen over to the left side, about halfway down the wall, and before you go into the kitchen was this long hallway that ran beside the kitchen. And I was sitting there, and I was almost, I would say, at the end of that hallway where I was sitting. It was where you were sitting later at night.
Yeah, remember.
And I felt like I was being, rushed, like just this heaviness coming from that side.
Right.
And just heard a couple clicks and knocks there, really. But kind of continuing on with this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody to cut their volume up a little bit right now.
Okay.
Because this was one of the coolest things, I think, in the world that I caught. It's really hard to hear it.
Is this with me and you?
No, this is the singing.
Oh, yeah.
So as I was continuing on in the cafeteria, I was still in there, I caught an EVP. Did not hear this. It actually came up on my EVP recorder, my little digital recorders where I caught it. I'm gonna let everybody listen to it, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But there's this melodic chant.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And the more it seems like you kind of put yourself there and just kind of like just stop everything else and just listen to it, it sounds like more than one voice in unison.
Yes, that's the big thing.
Yes.
So now here's the component of the story that goes back to make this evidence.
Yes.
So when I first went back and I was listening to all our recordings, or all my recordings, as a matter of fact, and I heard this, the first thing that popped in my head was the song at the Charlie Brown Christmas. It had that almost melody, that same kind of Christmas carol-y melody.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, so went and was doing some research on the building and a good bit of research on what had gone on there with Mr. Lewis Butler and all of that stuff. And just by happenstance, Mr. Lewis Butler, the principal that was there for 43 years, and his family, every Christmas would go out on the street corners of Ehrhardt Christmas caroling. Now, you can call that coincidence if you want to. But the simple fact is that some type of chanting, singing, whatever you want to call it. Is that my dog?
That is your dog.
My dog is singing outside the door.
Very weird.
But but for that type of musical type of catch, EVP, having that multiple voices and then having that history of that family doing that.
I agree.
That is, to me, highly evidentiary in nature. So I thought that was really, really interesting.
It is very cool.
Tell us what you think about it. I cut up the volume a little bit, and I didn't really clean it up. I just enhanced the volume.
Yeah.
You definitely could hear it in a couple of spots. So as we're moving on, we will talk about as you moved kind of through the building.
Yeah.
You were in one of the classrooms. So
I was.
The first classroom, or it's the EVP session 1 here.
Yeah.
This was crazy.
2001. You're going to have to play that again. I'm wondering, trying to figure out what it was I heard in this one.
This was crazy.
2000. I heard something right there.
Right there.
Yep. I don't know what it's saying, but it sounds like a voice.
Yeah.
This was crazy.
2001.
Yeah.
I can't make out what it's saying.
I can't make out what it's saying either, but it's definitely. So that's Jeremy, and then that's my wife, Amanda.
Yes.
You definitely hear those voices.
Yes.
Clearly, but there's a
something there.
Tell us what you think. I can't make it out.
And see, that's the problem. We don't have the technology to try and, we could ramp it up, but to really clean it up as best as we need to, we don't have that at the moment. But that's part of the fun in the investigation, in my opinion.
Yep.
You're trying to decipher, take away everything else that,
I'm gonna play it really loud and see if
okay.
we can make something.
2001. I do hear something. I don't know if it's a sigh. I don't know if it's I think it's too far away to be made out.
Yeah, I'm like you. I think it's probably, it sounds like almost a sigh to me.
Yeah.
Like a...
Yeah, and it could be, and to elaborate, the fact that this is a classroom, and I went into a couple of these classrooms in between the library. I got names out the wazoo, and what's weird is you'll hear later on, it was like, I was like, are these children that used to go to school here? Because, I mean, some of them sounded very older fashioned names, let's put it that way, in nature. So that just kind of,
Yeah,
put a
they were
stopper in
more
the
like
bottle for me.
traditional names.
Yeah. One thing, and I'll bring this up, and it is on the YouTube video, but one thing I'll bring up is the fact that one of the very first words I got was jail. At the time when I got it, my spirit box said jail. And I heard jail, so I didn't think anything about it. Well, when I was going back and reviewing my video, I noticed I asked your wife, I said, what is this word right here? And the way it was spelled was G-A-O-L. And I said, what is that word? And then I got to thinking back, I said, it said jail. Well, jail, the spelling of jail, J-A-I-L, was nowhere in there. And if you look it up, G-A-O-L is the original spelling, the old British version of what we now know as jail. What is that? Which is really weird considering the war and stuff that we've had around here way back when. So it's just very odd to me that would come through in that manner.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that. That G-A, that's almost like a...
Because I said, what is this? Because I was going back review and trying to put everything together because when I do a session like this on the spirit box, it creates a list of words that were almost like a printout, so I can go back and see what all was said. Well, got to looking, and then I got to looking on here. I said, "What? Wait a minute, that was it. That was jail." And then I put it all together, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, what is that?" So I did a little Google search, and that's what popped up. So,
Yeah. Well, that's cool because that G-A-I...
G-A-O-L.
G-A-O-L. That's almost like a Gaelic.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very odd. And I was, it's just one of those things that threw me for a loop.
Huh. Well, moving on through...
Okay.
Your second classroom EVP here.
Okay. There's a whole bunch of dead cockroaches and stuff on the ground here. Did you hear that? You hear it?
Yeah. It's almost like a...
I don't know if you would consider that I would bump it up the volume a little bit, but I don't know what you would consider that. Is that a moan?
Yeah, a whale.
Yeah, that's a good...
whale. Not whale as in the kin to a dolphin, but so I'm gonna cut up the volume just a little bit here.
There you go.
This thing's super sensitive.
There's a whole bunch of dead cockroaches and stuff on the ground here. It almost sounds like music almost. Toward the end there.
Yeah. I would, if I didn't know what the weather conditions were, I'd swear
There's wind.
it's wind.
Yeah.
But it was dead still that night.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was, but it would almost sound like wind blowing past some old leaky
Yeah, like an open window or
window,
something.
something like that. But it was almost mortician still.
Yeah.
That night.
It was cold enough. I'll put it this way: it was cold enough. I had a denim jacket on, and blue jeans. But other than that, I mean, there was no wind or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I definitely call that something that we can't easily
identify
or throw it out.
Yeah.
Steve, you are super quiet. He's not saying anything.
I can barely hear him breathing.
I know. I wonder if he's still alive. Man, that would be a bummer. Anyway,
Wipe that smirk off his face.
no, he's making me mad.
Googly eyes.
Yeah. They so as you kept going through,
Yeah.
let's see, that was number 2. Number 3 here.
Okay.
You just kept, and I'm trying to get a grasp on it, because in reality, Jeremy and I we kind of just divided and conquered.
Yeah.
And so, and we've kind of saved some of our stuff for tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, definitely. Because we didn't want to let all the cats out of the bag.
So, you were just kind of jumping classroom to classroom, or were you just staying in mostly?
I would go, this being really my first main investigation ever, I would kind of go with what felt right, I guess. Just kind of let my intuition lead me. So I started in one place and, just kind of tested the water, see how it went. The first room was okay. I mean, I never once, until we got further in, that I never once felt threatened or any kind of heavy air or misplaced any kind of feeling like that. It felt fine. I mean, now there was a couple of times in one of the classrooms, because the spirit box said that, did you see my shadow? I'm going to show myself. I was like, oh, really? Well, it's kind of spooky to hear something like that, especially when you're standing in the dark of a room by yourself, and then all of a sudden this thing's telling you. But, that's the thing about it. It's kind of like detective work. You have to put pieces together. And it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. If it fits, it fits, but you can't force everything, and that's the problem with it. You have to go with what works, and you might have to come home later on and do a little bit more digging to see if does this hold up to what this is saying, and so on and so forth. And and it's kind of fun like that. But also on the same hand, it can be kind of spooky at times, as we will find out.
Yes. And understand that neither one of us are above having the daylight scared out of us.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, I am. I'm pretty stoic, but I also know that there's things out there that I don't understand as well. So,
100%.
All right, so we're gonna flip back over, and I was in the cafeteria still, and I did a little spirit box session in there, and so I had the SB7 out, and I was thinking I was doing FM forward frequencies on it, and I got a couple things from both masculine and feminine voices, and this is kind of what we captured with that. On that one thing you asked me to about prayer, what's that about? Tell me, why do you hang around here?
I don't think we covered this last episode, but I believe that if you do hear a female voice, it is supposed to be a female spirit, and vice versa. If it's a male voice, it's a male spirit. Even as far as going to hear a child's voice,
yes.
Whether that be young male or young female.
My experience with it is that, of course, it's flipping through frequencies, so there's going to be times where it's going to fall on the right moment in time on the exact right frequency that a word pops out.
Yes.
I am more confident in the spirit box when it is responsive. So the answers in response. And this is what the first one, water, was kind of out of context.
Yeah.
But I thought in the least that if I didn't I wasn't fully sold on that was a response, it at least gives a good example of what can happen if you don't have context. Now,
I agree.
The second part of this one, and I'm going to play it again. Why do you hang around here?
Now that one's a lot harder to hear.
Yeah, so I'm gonna cut it up and we're gonna play it again. hang around here.
Yeah. So I can hear the first couple of words, but after that it kind of trails off.
So I heard just for fun.
Okay.
Now that is in direct response to my question.
Right.
So I laid that out as it could. That's possibly evidence.
Right.
So again, without the context, it is extremely difficult to say what these things are. Right. However, we do have a pretty strong context in that with some of these things. So, excuse me. I then, after the spirit box session, I left the cafeteria and I went into that medical supply room.
Yes.
So I want to talk about this a little bit. This is a little bit longer clip. And part of this clip is actually showing you that I do have an elevated baseline in this room to start with.
Okay.
So I always go into a room and I have my mel meter, and we talked about what mel stands for in the last podcast. But before I start, I guess getting down to the work of doing, conversing, I'll try to take a baseline of everything, and the mel meter gives me oh my Lord, I forgot about it. EMF detector. It gives me electromagnetic frequency. It actually gives me a reading and a number. It gives me a temperature of the room specifically. And so I did a baseline on that, and that's what you will see. Now, the interesting part about this is that as this video progresses, I'm sitting there in the dark. You can't see anything but the lights of the EMF detector that my son's holding in front of the camera. And I'm in the front of the room, and I have the mel meter, and I'm calling out the numbers.
Okay.
No audio was captured right here at this point, but it gets a little more interesting on further down the video.
Okay.
I've got a reading in here let's jump in between 0 and 4.9 milligauss. Let me go ahead and get my camera set up here. The mel meter keeps bouncing between 0 and about 6, and then back up a little bit, and back down. So, but I would love to communicate with you a little bit more and find out why you're here. What brings you to this place? Is it this equipment in this room? Are you scared of something? Is there something holding you here that causes fear? I feel like you have something you want to tell me. I feel like you're 41 milligauss. I feel like you're right here and you want to say something. 41, 6.8.
We spoke to Red.
We feel you in here. Our devices say you're in here. You should talk to us. We come peacefully. We come to only talk with you and to prove that you're here, and we would love to hear your story. So I want to, at this point, you saw I got just a couple of spikes, and it kind of up and down. Those were kind of the ones that really kind of mattered. I would say, it would go up a couple of points and stuff like that, but those really, you could hear my kids actually were kind of reacting to it.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. I had to cut out what Reed said of the video because it was not fitting. And but at that point, we left the room to meet up with y'all.
Right.
As a matter of fact, y'all were in the cafeteria at the time, and the door wouldn't shut. And y'all had done some investigating in the cafeteria, and it had gotten a little
Wiry.
yeah, less than comfortable in there. And when y'all went to leave, the door would not close, and you actually like kicked it, put your foot into the door, and it slammed shut.
I did, but I'll get into that later.
Okay. But anyway, at this point, this gigantic bang happened. And I was like, oh, what have we done? So I was like, we got to meet up. We got to kind of reset everything.
Yeah.
So when I left the room, I left the camera running in the room, and I left my EVP recorder right where it was running. So I know it's dark, but nobody entered this room. And we walked all the way from this room, this medical supply room that a fella that has since passed away had there. And we walked all the way back to the police part up in the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we walked all the way back up the building, like... you know,
Back toward the beginning.
yeah, almost, I'd say 100 yards almost by the time you twist and turns.
Oh, yeah.
So there was nobody on this end of this room. So...
Yeah, just kind of taking a mental break from everything.
yeah, so here's the thing. I left the EVP recorder running, and definitely out of all of it, I could hear the, oh no.
Oh, yeah. That was perfect at the end there.
And I think the original one, when I said it says, oh God, I think that was oh no also. I think it was just repeating that.
You might be correct on that. And that's one thing I found out about these EVPs. Sometimes they come through and like they're just as clear as a bell. There's no mistaking what they're saying. Other times it's like the voice is literally in... I know this is going to sound crazy, but it's almost like it's in the static. Like you have to listen to the static to understand what is being said. And almost like this right here. And then other times it could just be just as faint as you want it to be. And it's just very weird the way some of these things come across and how it operates. It's crazy. It's wild to me.
Yeah, it's insane sometimes. So
almost, yeah.
So before we get into kind of the last piece of evidence for me was our session together in the cafeteria. I'm gonna go back to some of the stuff you caught.
Okay.
This is your classroom EVP.
I think we already did number 3.
Number 4.
Let's try number 4.
All right.
Children around you.
Well, that's news to me. Okay, children around me. Are these children? Gather around, or did y'all go to this school here? Can you answer me?
Photo album.
Did you hear it?
I want to listen to it again. I think I did.
Okay.
Children around you.
Well, that's news to me. Okay, children around me. Are these children? Gather around, or did y'all go to this school here? Can you answer me?
The photo album.
I hear it, but I can't make it out.
The water, I don't know, maybe we're hearing two different things, but I'm hearing like a psst.
Okay.
If you go back and, I can't remember exactly what I was saying at the time, but I hear like a psst. Well, that's news to me. Okay, children around me. Are these children? Gather around, or did y'all go to this school here? Can you answer me?
Right there. Yes. I definitely heard it right
That's
there.
a psst, but I heard the first thing too. Yeah, it sounds like, I don't know, it sounds kind of mangled in there.
Yeah.
Can't really understand what it's trying to say. But see, sometimes this is the problem with all this. Sometimes you capture these, and I'll show you later on. I might be one of the next ones we have to show, and I'm not even sure if I even have it recorded on here. But I know I had one at one point where me and Amanda were in one of these classrooms, and I thought up and down that I had captured a dog. And I told Joey this. I said, Joey, you ain't gonna believe this crap, man. You got to check this out. Just listen to this. So we... Well, I went back and actually, because a lot of mine was taken from my video.
Yeah.
And so I separated the audio and listened to it that way. And so with that being said, I thought I captured a dog, and it sounded like, oh, and then it was like a little yap almost. And when I let Joey listen to it, and Joey said, yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. And at first, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, Lord, what do I have here? Well, actually, when I went back and watched the video, it appears to me that I am the dog.
Huh.
So you see me, my back is to the camera, but I see my head go like that from the side, and it's almost like I'm going, oh, like that. And then I reach for something, and I go to put it in my pocket, and as it does, it barely scrapes that denim, that denim jacket I'm wearing, and then it's like, and it's like, rack. That's exactly what it. And I said, it's too close. I don't think I've caught anything here. So,
and that's what we have to do a lot of times, is take some of the, the things we know. It's just like, the kids reacting and things like that. And that is what it is. And trying to be as quiet as possible in ourselves.
Which it's hard to do sometimes.
It's hard to do. It is really tough. So now we're moving on to EVP 5.
Let's see what we got here. All right, last chance. I'm getting ready to walk to the other end of the school. I think this is the dog.
Yeah.
All right, once again, thank you all to all these children in here. I appreciate you guys coming forth and telling me your name, and really appreciate that. I am protected. You are not allowed to leave with me. Thanks. Goodbye. Yep.
I do not understand.
That was weird. That sounds like a child saying that I don't understand what you just told me. That is wild. And I just cut it off. I wonder if I can. Now, that was one thing I did find weird, because I just told whatever spirits were in there, hey, you can't follow me out. You're not allowed to go home with me or anything like that. I am protected. You're not allowed to come after me. And immediately, that's the response I got off the spirit box was, I don't understand. Yeah. And as a child, I can understand that. That sounds like something a child would say.
And I definitely heard the dog in there.
I did, but like I said, once you watch the video and kind of pair it up, I'm like, there's no dog. There's no dog.
Okay. Because that really does sound like a...
I'm telling you, it sounds like a dog.
It's like when you catch chihuahuas, like I said in the last podcast. But I'll have to, I'm going to have to take your word for that on the video. And but yeah, that's what happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I was all excited about a dog.
I know. So. It's terrible. So this kind of moves into, I would say, one of our most eventful components of the investigation. We kind of all gathered up in the hallway, and we had a conversation. And like I said, at one point I'm standing in the hallway. I've got that conversation recorded. It just didn't have any content to fit into our time frame.
Unfortunately, no.
But I said I am ill prepared for this, and but beside that, your boys here, we ponied up and said, you know what? Let's go into that cafeteria. We both had experiences in there, and let's press it a little bit and do an Estes method.
And to give a little background on that, for those of you who don't know what the Estes method is, I don't know the gentleman's name. Joey, you're going to have to Google that.
Yeah.
But Estes method, ESTEES. So basically, the idea behind it is almost a little bit of sensory deprivation, I would have to say. And so while one person is asking questions, the other person, that would be me, is blindfolded. I was facing the opposite direction of Joey, and I was listening just like I am now with headphones on, earbuds in, to the spirit box of Joey, and it's scanning these frequencies so we can get a live response, if any, that would come through. I can't hear what Joey's saying, and so I'm listening for any type of response that is coming through from Joey's questions. And now I've seen this done before. Sometimes the answers in the questions sync up pretty good, sometimes not at all. Ours went a little bit different.
Yeah, and the best way to do it is, so I did not have a camera on. Okay, so I just got my Ovilus, and I am one of those iPhone users that I keep my phone on silent all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't want to, we bought $10,000 worth of ringtones back when we was 20 years old. Now I don't want to ever hear it ring. So I didn't realize that my Ovilus would actually talk, because it had never talked.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, but when you cut your phone on silent, the iPhone on silent, it doesn't make a sound. Silent means silent. Who knew? So I was repeating what it was saying,
right?
Because I didn't have a camera on it at the time. And so I would just repeat what it would say and try to follow up on some of the things that it would say and see where it led. And this is some of the stuff that we were able to capture. You said bury, as in bury something under the dirt. And then you said bone. I feel like you're trying to tell us something about where you're buried. You want us to know exactly where you are, where your body was laid? Or
Did I scare you?
Your grave. You did not scare me. Where is your grave? You said our grave. Is there more than one of you in the grave? There are 8. There are 8 people buried there. You're trying. I can tell you're trying. Speak through my friend up there. He's here to help too. Short. Time is short. What do you mean by short? Tell me about that hallway.
Teenager.
You're a teenager? You were a teenager when you died? What was your name? Tell me your name. How do you... Is this Frank?
They never found me.
They never found you? Someone killed you and buried you and no one ever found it? No one ever found your body?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I'll say this because we're recording this now. I remember I've been having some computer issues, first of all, so I've got to fix that. Second of all, Joey's kind of been my go-to for all of that to kind of make up the slack on my end with the computer issue. And with that being said, when I was there, we can go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and this is a note for you, Joey. Go ahead and insert that clip I'm going to send to you.
Okay.
All right. You can insert it here. But what happens in the clip that I have, my footage cuts out completely. There is no audio. I think I got to the point where I think it was right after, I know I heard you mention about the 8 in the grave.
Yeah.
And I remember it saying, "Did I scare you?"
Yeah.
And I think that's about all I got. If it wasn't too far past that.
So that obvious response is your spirit talker. That's not mine.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. Okay.
Because remember mine, I
Right.
was
You
too
were
stupid
reading
to operate.
yours.
Yeah.
You was reading yours.
I was too stupid to operate it.
It'd be all right.
And it is what it is.
Yes, I remember correctly now because mine was not sitting in front of me, so I couldn't even hear the responses. That was back behind me on the other side of the room.
About probably 15 foot, maybe. 10
Maybe
feet.
even more than that.
It might have been. Not good at distances, but yeah, we were separated pretty well.
Yeah.
At this point. Now, some of the rustling you heard some rustling. That's me shuffling my feet.
Yes,
stuff
yes.
Like that. And Jeremy was restless a couple times up there as well. So all of that is absolutely still in there. So don't think for a minute that we don't know that's in there, but
right.
There's nothing to comment on their reality. But we were getting meaningful response,
right?
And that was what was important. And you've got this clip that you want me to hear.
I do.
And you've purposely kept it from me, and so you're gonna send it to me, and I'll edit it into the video here.
Yeah. The reason being is because I could be wrong, but I want your honest take on it, and I want you guys' honest take on it as well. But like you said, I'm frustrated. I'm a little flustered with all this. It's anxiety. We talked about it last podcast. I was not feeling very comfortable being in this situation. I felt vulnerable. Here I am. I'm looking off into the darkness. I have this light on top of my camera that's facing me. I have a microphone there. It was close, but not nearly even as close as the microphone I'm speaking into now. But I hear breathing. I hear breathing into this microphone as it's crazy sounding. And what I mean by that is when you look at the video, what you see is me looking down at the spirit box. So my mouth, my face, all that is not directly aimed toward the microphone. And just like you heard me a while ago, when I sighed on that video. On that video audio. But you could hear me sigh pretty good.
Yeah.
you see me in my clip that I cite as well. The problem of it is that you can barely see me breathing the rest of the time. And I told you, I know this is very cliche, but I got that sense that something else was watching me. And here I am looking down at the spirit box, because number one, this was like my first lesson in the spirit box, other than using my Spirit Talker app. And so I'm like this, and I look to be almost dead still. But that's why I want somebody else to view it, to give a take on it, to think, is this me actually breathing? Because you see me, as heavy of a breathing as it is, it's rather constant, but there's a point where it shows up, and then I don't know how long it hangs around, because my audio and my video cut out shortly thereafter.
Wow. Well, what I can do is play it against my audio.
Yeah.
Match the times up, and then we can see, because I could hear you sigh on my audio.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
So we can definitely narrow that down.
The strange thing about it is, now I'm not going to put it past it being a corrupted file, because that's very well possible.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. It got me to that point, and here's the weird thing. When I put it into my computer and I plug it in, you see, okay, I've got 25 minutes of footage, audio right here. Well, the last maybe 12 to 13 minutes of it, it shows it as if it's there. You see the audio wave there. It gets even crazier, but it's like the video, the visual portion of it, it's like it sliced it already, and then there's nothing there afterwards.
That's crazy.
That's very weird, and I'm gonna.
I had a bad SD card in our last podcast, so I'm not putting it past that. But,
very true.
But we got to look at it.
But on the same hand, I wasn't using your SD card.
That is true. That is true. All right, so this next section is one of the times that you actually give a response.
I do.
And so I want people to listen immediately after, for about 10, 15 seconds after you give this response, and put your opinions down in the comments and see what you think. I'm going to play it pretty loud. But I'm sitting here asking questions, and Jeremy, a word comes up on the spirit box, and Jeremy repeats it. Now, I can't hear the spirit box.
Like I said, I was having trouble that night trying to listen out for anything and trying to decipher what was coming through, but this is what I got.
Where are you buried? Now. You want somebody to find you now? I'm going to play that again.
Play it again.
Where are you buried? Now. All right, that's you saying now.
Yep, 100%.
The word now, N-O-W. What's that?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Y'all can hear my voice. I have a distinct voice. I am Southern drawl and deep.
It sounds like it's very close. And
yes.
It's very fast.
So yours didn't pick it up that we know of.
That I know of.
Yeah. The only thing that picked that up, now I had a camera on me also, but I didn't have any light on me.
Right.
I only found this on my digital voice recorder.
Really?
That's the only place I found it, was on the digital voice recorder.
Now.
And so.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, so let's go back.
One more time.
Yeah, because this actually kind of freaked me out. Where are you buried? Now. Now, you can obviously hear some rustling right there, too.
Yeah.
And I think I was moving around, just kind of getting settled, if I remember right. But you definitely hear that word being repeated.
definitely.
So they didn't find you when they killed you, but you want somebody to find you now?
Sacred.
What was that word that came through at the end?
The last one.
Yeah, through the spirit talker.
Sacred.
Okay, because I couldn't distinguish if it was sacred or Satan, and I was like,
I know, sacred.
Okay.
I remember that very clearly
Gotcha.
because we looked at it.
Yeah.
Because it sounded a lot of. But
a
after.
lot going on in that clip.
Yeah. So after the EVP captured you repeating, they didn't find you when they killed you, but you want somebody to find you now? I want you to go back right there. And I promise you, I just picked up on this. And I've listened to this clip probably 150 times. Listen to, I'm getting a little feedback right
Yeah.
now. Listen to right in here.
Right before you shuffle,
Yeah.
I hear it too.
They didn't find you when they killed you, but you want somebody to find you now? Something's walking.
Go back again.
I didn't hear. This is the first time I've heard it.
I thought it was maybe. What were you sitting in? You were sitting in a metal chair, correct?
I was sitting in, no, it was a metal plastic chair, like literally a lunchroom chair.
I'm wondering if maybe you were kind of readjusting, and
don't
maybe
know.
it was kind of. What is that?
They didn't find you when they killed you.
What is that?
I don't know. But you want somebody to find you now?
Time since you've been playing this, and it sounds like something disgusted.
Well, now I have chicken skin going on, man.
Hey, hush up! I'm the one that got to drive my ass home in this country dark.
Man, you know Bigfoot out there.
Gila monster.
The Gila monster.
Go play that again and tell me. What is that?
Well, my first instinct, like off the top of my head, something is not happy.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like,
Yeah. Okay. So little context here. I want you to play that again.
is that you?
I was thinking the same thing. But I want you to play it again, just that little portion, but don't stop it. What comes after it?
Okay. They didn't find you when they killed you, but you want somebody to find you now? Like I hear like a voice right in there.
Yeah, I hear singing again.
Yeah. And this is where I caught the singing the first.
Right.
So I think the singing is some type of residual, obviously.
So let's go back over some of the things that I know that we have discussed. So what if the singing is in response to whatever else this other thing is?
Ooh. Like
Think about it like this.
soothing the savage soul type thing?
Possibility, or you go to church, you sing.
Yeah.
I mean, you bring in the Holy Spirit. You try to usher it in. You try to that type of thing. I mean,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know whether it's
What I'm saying is that because some of the things that you've caught throughout the night, some of the things are, let's see, look, you were rushed.
Yep.
Some of the responses you got on the ovulus, the males meter, and then on top of that, the fact that I'm getting this heavy breathing in my face down here on the other end.
yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, when you were playing one of the first two clips here of going into all this, I wasn't 100% sure, and I wasn't sure if it was you here now or if it was possibility of you on the recording, but because I wouldn't have been close enough. Now, given you could hear a sigh,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have been close enough to hear heavy breathing from me, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
But it sounded like heavy breathing on your end too.
Might have been. I might have picked some of that up.
Well, see, what's kind of curious about it is because from my view, it's a different perspective from what I caught once again. And I mean, didn't you say you guys thought maybe you saw a shadow?
Yeah, Sydney, when we were back there the first time, Sydney was behind me, like I said, at the door. And in the corner, which would be the corner that connected kind of the kitchen to the cafeteria area, the dining area, she thinks she saw something. Now, I can't verify that. We didn't catch it on camera or
Right.
anything like that. But, I had this significant heaviness the whole time. So, I'm not putting it past that there was something in there.
True.
I'm not saying that we didn't capture something.
Right.
Now, what I hear here is the response to you. And then almost like I'm an aggravated response.
That's what I'm.
And then the singing again.
Yeah. I think the singing actually starts before the aggravated response.
Yeah.
So in my head and in my question now, is the aggravated response to us or the singing? See where I was going with that? Okay.
That's going to part 2. Investigation part 2.
Yeah. Because we got a lot
Yeah.
out there. And one thing I want to bring up, because I wanted to cover this, is number one, I brought it up earlier about us shutting the door. When I shut the door, what that was in response to is that me and Amanda were down in that hallway. I tried to actually take my digital recorder, and I was going to set it up about halfway. And if you watch the YouTube video, my Spirit Talker app, I said, I was actually talking to whatever it was down there, and I said, okay, you seem like an intelligent spirit. Do me a favor, and I'll meet you halfway. And I said, I was going to put it halfway down and put it on the shelf and say, come speak into this. Before I got the words out of my mouth, my Spirit Talker says, no, don't go down that way. And I'm like, I was like, no. So, of course, I rushed back.
He gone.
Yeah, didn't take long. Shortly thereafter, my camera battery dies. I have to go back to, control room central and get another battery. So I do that. I come back, we set everything back up. I kind of get to talking about it again. Okay, so I'm wrapping things up in the cafeteria, and I get my recorder, my digital recorder. I come back, and I just, me and Amanda are on the way out, and I said, hey, look, you're not allowed to follow us. I do this to every room just to make sure that it is understood that, no, you can't go with me. So I do that, and on the way out the door, I can't remember exactly what it said, and it said something about, like, I did something bad, or I'm sorry for what I did, or something like that. And then, me and Amanda both were like, what'd you do? And then the next thing it says, it gives another name, and it says Abraham. And I was like, okay. So,
All right,
and I turned around and I said, no, you are not allowed to follow. We walk out the door, and this door, and every time I have come out of this door at that night, This door would shut all the way on its own.
Yeah.
No questions asked, no force put into it whatsoever. I let go of the door, thinking that the weight would carry it back. It does not go all the way. And there is a gap between, it's like something stuck in the door. And I was like, nope, not tonight. And that's when I put my foot to the door and shut it.
And caused me to need uniform maintenance on the other end of the
Good thing
building.
he wore his brown pants.
Bring me my brown pants. If you don't know that story, I'll tell you one day. All right, so we went through a lot of stuff. This is the final piece.
Okay.
This is, I promise, this is the final piece. This one right here is the one that put it over the top for me.
Okay.
So
set the scene for me.
So we're still in there doing the Estes method.
Okay. So this must be something I have not heard.
Maybe not. So you had the now.
Okay.
And we've had the responses after that, the sounds after that. This was about 3 to 5 minutes after that. Maybe 5 minutes after the last clip. And it was not long before you said, I've had enough. And we left.
Okay.
So I'm sitting there, and I did not hear this. This was only caught on the digital voice recorder.
Okay.
I want you to hear it.
Okay.
What was sacred about it? What is sacred about it now? Is it a graveyard? Is it a church?
You don't hear the breathing?
Well, not really. I was too focused on the thing running at me.
I know. So it was, but you didn't hear that in time, in real time.
I'd have left you right there, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I damn sure wouldn't have known about it.
So this was the thing. So just to verify everything, I can have my wife come in here, but I really don't need to. The wife and the kids were up at the police station.
That is correct.
They were completely away.
100%.
So the only
yes.
two people in this room was myself and you.
Okay.
You were still in front. And if you listen, other than the dog is fixing to tear my door down over there, I'm still responding to the sacred word.
Right.
So this is just a minute or two behind that last clip.
Okay.
So
My question is, I want to listen and I want to see which direction it's running from or to.
So it is running quiet to loud.
Ah, crap.
So towards, to me, that's
From me, potentially.
or that hallway. Because
Could
we were
be.
kind of split that hallway at that point. You were
Yeah.
more in front of it, but
I don't know.
I don't have a way to directionally on the little.
I think I was further down.
Yeah.
I think I was further
So
down. Anyway.
let's go back to this thing.
That's crazy. That is, I have no words.
I can take every other piece of evidence we've went over tonight and throw in the trash can compared to
I'm telling you, because honest to God, I have not heard this until now. And if I wasn't scared enough that night, this is nail in the coffin. Just no offense.
I think now, my humble opinion on it is that everything we heard, everything that I picked up, I have this feeling that it was coming from that T intersection or that hallway. that sounded like, because my recorder was in front of me, it doesn't sound like it came from behind me. And the only thing I can think of, it had to come from either the right side. The left side's a wall. It didn't have nothing over there but a couple old desks over there and a couple chairs leaned up against it. The back is a wall. Had a couple of windows. And so, and then the kitchens, the open kitchen thing, where that is, I have to say it had to come from that kitchen area or somewhere around you or that hallway and ran towards my recorder or walked towards my recorder.
That is wild. It does, well, it sounds like it starts off in a rush and then it kind of slows down a little bit toward the end, but
like it's slowing down to stop. That's it.
Yeah.
So like you're running and then you kind of got to slow down. At least I do anyway. I got a lot of forward momentum.
That's, I am not even gonna lie, my mind is blown right now.
What was sacred about it? What is sacred about it now? Is it a graveyard? Is it a church? I hear the breathing.
So you did.
I think that's me, man.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't.
But here's the thing, on mine, you weren't close enough to get that close. Because that's what, Elizabeth said, is that Joey? And I'm like, there's no microphone for my camera down there with him.
Now, I
to hear it like that.
I can't say it's not me.
Right.
You know what I mean? With the, just how close things were.
Yeah.
I can tell you what wasn't me was that knock and that running.
I'm gonna do you one better. It's wearing shoes.
No, it's not.
You don't think so? Go back and listen. That's not bare feet hitting the ground, I don't think.
No, it's probably cloven hoof.
Don't say. We're going where next investigation?
Boots.
It could be boots.
Boots.
It almost sounds like it's got a running with a limp.
A gimp.
Go back and listen. It sounds
Not
like
Pulp Fiction gimp.
it sounds.
Yeah.
It sounds uneven.
Or a kid running or something like that.
In his Buster Browns.
Yeah. Ooh. Call back. But out of all the evidence, that right there has probably.
I 100% agree with you. I have never heard anything like that as so concrete as that.
I'm kind of glad we didn't have like infrared light in there.
Tell it, dude.
So
that will give you the willies right there.
Yeah, that's some spooky stuff. And here's the thing. I think you got to think about it. This is small town America, low country South Carolina. This isn't big city. These aren't known stories. These aren't things that are told. That's the thing.
I like that about it, though.
I know. This isn't the stories that we're posting on our social media, the famous stuff. This is an old building. And without a doubt, I can walk out of there 100% sure that I can say there's a haunting there.
Yeah. Compared to our last investigation, this, I don't know. This is very odd because there's so much to unpack in all of this. And what's even crazier, and I don't know if I went into this with the first episode we mentioned, but it was believed that we had an attachment follow me home from this thing.
Yeah.
And now hearing all this type of stuff, it's spooky. I'll say this: I don't know how much I've disclosed on the podcast so far, so I may be repeating myself. But some things that we've had. Number one, and I'll post this to social media. We caught what appeared to be my back porch. Swinging.
So this fool, I don't remember what it was like early in the morning too.
Like Joey.
He's texting me, watch this video. And so there's this swing on his back porch, and he's got some cats and stuff like that. So the first thing you think is like, oh, kitty. There was no cats, and like the cats were reacting to it. That was the thing.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. What I believe what happened with that. Number one, our cats never jump on our swing at that time. They never jumped up there. My wife had these fancy, decorations and so many pillows, Mount Kilimanjaro over there.
Yes.
And so they were all lined up, all pretty maids in a row up there on there. So the cats didn't jump up there because literally there was no place for them to sit at that time. One of my cats, you can see her on the video. I don't know if it's a moth that maybe she's seeing or a bug that's flying around that she's reacting to that we can't see, but the swing is swinging. My ring went off. The Ring doorbell to the back porch went off because of the ring. The swing started swinging. Now, if the cat had been up there would have been pillows probably knocked off or knocked over. And if you go back and watch it, they're all sitting up all pretty like. So
yeah, I think whatever it was, it followed you home, and it's probably moved on down the road a little bit. But, this is the cool thing, though, is that this is small town. These aren't stories that are being told, and it's fun to go out and tell these stories. So, kind of going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, if you know something that needs its story told, contact us.
Yeah.
Hit us up on our social media. Instagram, Facebook is Dead South Paranormal. You can look us up on YouTube as Dead South Paranormal SC.
That's correct.
And then our email is deadsouthpodcast
there you go.
at gmail.com, and I will have those up on the end.
I just want to say this as well real quick because it hasn't been put out there, but if you go to our Facebook page, and I can't remember what I want to say we have if you go to our Facebook page and look, there's a telephone number there.
Yeah.
It is a Google number.
Oh.
And the last 4 digits, I could be wrong on this because I can't remember. It's been a while back. I think it spells out dead.
There's no way. I can't use my phone. But absolutely, contact us. We will come investigate.
Absolutely.
Again, we'll come out and talk with you, so you'll have expectations and what we will need to do. As we progress, our equipment's going to get better. We've got some upcoming stuff that we're planning.
Yeah.
And we'll be more than happy to take y'all along for the ride on this.
Absolutely. Y'all stick around. We got a lot of stuff in store as much as we can prepare.
So look us up, give us a like, share the stuff out there, get us out there. Dead South Paranormal, man.
Yeah.
We're here.
We're here. We're going to do it one way or another. Brown pants or not. We're going to
Brown pants are the key.
You get the brown pants guarantee with us.
That's it.
Brown pants or not, we're sticking around.
We are excited. We are happy to be a part of this with you in your journey. Maybe we can give you some answers.
Absolutely.
If you have a story, share it with us on our social media.
We'd love to hear it.
100%. So,
with
that said,
you know what? Maybe they caught something. Maybe they got a picture, a photo. Whatever that is. Yeah, just send it to us, man. We'll try and break it down. We'd love to share that kind of stuff and see about it. So that's cool. I love it.
Email it to us. Give us the story behind it and all of that stuff. We love. Both of us love researching that kind of stuff. So, with that said, that's all we have for the night. We appreciate it, and remember, Dead South Paranormal on Facebook and Instagram, Dead South Paranormal SC on YouTube, and our email, deadsouthpodcast@gmail.com. Y'all have a good one.
Dead South Paranormal. Brown pants guarantee.
Guaranteed. See you later.